talked to a marketing expert on the phone, a TechnoServe representative, and some customers at the Pete's stand at the local Raley's. And the main question that we were focusing on getting answered was, do you view coffee as an experience or as a service? And what we got from those responses was that coffee is an experience. People aren't just waking up and trying to get their caffeine, trying to get through the day. They really love drinking the coffee and that whole experience. So keeping that in mind, we wanted to make sure that that ideal was maintained while still grabbing the attention of the young consumer.
So I want to take you guys back about half a year to when Starbucks unveiled their new holiday cup design. Although it may seem like a pretty innocent or minimal design change, a lot of people took great offense to this and considered it Starbucks starting a war on Christmas. Regardless of what your stance on it is, objectively, it did bring a lot of media attention to Starbucks, and I think it probably, in the long term, upped their sales. So taking this idea that a small design change can bring a lot of attention, we tried to apply this in a less provocative manner to our Pete's project.
Our first instinct was to change the cup itself. We have the container of the coffee is a wonderful marketing tool. It's something that all of your consumers are picking up, they're carrying around, people see it. It's very visible, and it's a minimal cost as opposed to running like a big TV ad campaign or something like that. So as I said, our first instinct was to change the cup itself, but through many interviews, a recurring theme was the fact that Pete's customers really liked the cup as it was already. So we realized that we could keep the cup that was so beloved by Pete's customers, but change other aspects of the container to hopefully have a similar effect as a similar impact as the Starbucks cup, but hopefully not with the negative connotations.
Right, so as opposed to changing the entire design of the cup, we tried to tackle something a little bit smaller. We went with the coffee sleeve, which we've dubbed the Go Green coffee sleeve. As you can see, we made it bright green to make it eye-catching. We have the Pete's logo and a quote that we think kind of exemplifies the verification process. And our goal with this coffee sleeve is really twofold. So we're going to launch it for about a month, and during that time, it's going to encourage customers to open up a dialogue with their baristas who would be educated and trained to tell the verification story in a clear and simple way. And then on the other side of this, it's going to have a link to the Pete's webpage where they can go online and look at the visualization of the verification story, and they can learn about it more on their own time.
And so what's a wonderful piece about this is the financials behind altering the coffee sleeve. And I had a conversation yesterday with someone who has a lot of experience in the printing industry, and they were able to tell us that a change in the color, a small phrase on the bottom, or even the logo has a very small impact on the cost relatively to the original. And this was very encouraging for us because it made us realize that this would not, as I mentioned earlier, it wouldn't be a hugely costly financial venture. It would be something that's very feasible.
This initiative doesn't have to be limited to just the green sleeve. It can be launched as an entire campaign. So this same idea can be brought to the muffin bag or the paper napkin or the coffee lid as well. And as a millennial myself, I really value having information that's easily accessible. So that's why we put a couple of facts on the bag and the napkin. We also think it's really important that if customers are encouraged to go online and look up information on their own, that it's there and it's readily accessible on the homepage and really easy to understand.
So in summary, we have three major points that we'd like to do. So the first is obviously to produce these new coffee sleeves with these phrases on them to encourage customers to want further information. The second is to educate the Pete's Coffee staff in order to allow them to have intellectual conversations with customers who might want information from them. And thirdly, we want to revamp the website so that we can have this information very easily accessible. I know there's a lot of information on the Pete's website right now about the history, but it takes a few clicks to get there. And we think that if we can have this information very readily accessible when you first open up the Pete's Coffee homepage, it would do a ton to allow these customers to see the verification story. Thank you guys very much. Any questions?
Yes, so thoughts about, how do you get from the sleeve to the website? So there'd be we said like that, a link or something to pete's.com.
Yeah, so it would
sleeve.
ideally be on the other side of the sleeve that we
Okay.
were showing, and it would just be visit pete's.com to find out more about this.
And then what do you think is most, like, once they get there, what do you think is most important? Like, what would you lead with? Because you're right, it is a complicated story.
So, I think that ideally we would lead with like a kind of a catchy tagline, and then we were talking about having like a video story that really explains like what you're going for.
Okay.
Because I think millennials like respond to visual.
They like to read.
Yeah, they like to read.
Yeah.
They like to watch things that are snappy and short. And,
Yep.
And that's another big reason, as when we were originally looking at this problem, realizing that we could produce like a paragraph that would be a succinct way to share this story, but at the same time, you know, when you're getting your morning coffee going into a store, you're not going to stand for even 15 seconds to read the story, so it would seem somewhat pointless to put all that effort into making these signs with minimal impact.
Okay.
I have a question. You had two different sleeve designs. One was tradeability and traceability, and the other was care and quality. And I would just love like your thoughts on how you landed on those phrases as representing verification process.
So the care and quality, we thought those were two of the most important parts of the verification story, because we want to make sure that the customers know that we're not compromising the quality of the coffee through this whole process, which is something that Pete's, I know, really cares about. But that you also care about the individuals that make the quality so great. And then the traceability and traceability, we thought that the traceability was really important for like transparency through the whole process. We want to make sure that that was really emphasized, and traceability. Sounds good. Traceability.
yeah, we got the traceability and traceability from a conversation with your coffee purchaser. He said that those were two of the main aspects of the verification story that he wanted to emphasize.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Stella Renzu. This is Will Lupika, Harun Astra, and David Greer, and together we are the team Tiger Consultants. So we were presented with a challenge to tell the Pete's Coffee verification story to the millennials. And we conducted a small research. We went around and asked people about their how they prefer to drink their coffee and if they care about the issues surrounding the coffee supply chain. As you can see on the board from the clues we collected, most of our we came up with two different trends. We observed two different trends. So there are the people that care about where their coffee comes from, and they just simply don't have enough time to do their research and find out more about this. Then there are the other people that don't really care where the coffee comes from, because simply they're not aware that there are issues surrounding the coffee supply chain. So we identified a problem. How there's a miscommunication between drinking coffee and the people, and how to make people talk about this, and how to make people more aware about how they're drinking coffee. So we basically based our whole marketing strategy around how to create conversations when it comes to drinking coffee.
So keeping in line with our strategy, we really want to start the conversations with the millennials in a way that they can really interact with and talk amongst themselves. And we decided to focus on two factors, the retail sector and the online sector. For the retail sector, we think that videos are a great way to tell engaging, impactful stories and start conversations. Our first video campaign will be around cultivating a new tradition. We feel like Pete's Coffee started the tradition and the culture of drinking coffee to begin with. So why can't the verification process be a new culture, be a new tradition that shows transparency or sustainability in the coffee industry and all of that. So if we can have a campaign or video that shows this, and we can also add the values of authenticity and originality and growth, how Pete's is still growing, it's not stagnant, it keeps on changing, it keeps on innovating. Having a video like this in the stores, behind the baristas, or even online can make a huge impact and start conversations that we do want to start. Our second video can be about tangible differences. Millennials like making differences, no matter how big they are, no matter how small they are. As long as they get to make a difference, they get to feel happy about themselves and people around them. So having a video that shows like a contemporary person in the USA and one at a coffee farm or the son of a farmer in Ethiopia where the coffee is produced from will be a great way to put millennials in the shoes of somebody else and show them how these differences are being made every day. Like when you're buying a coffee, you are making a difference. No matter how small it is, it's affecting somebody thousands of miles away. Last but not the least, we believe that coffee is an experience, and coffee dates happen at coffee shops, the cafes. You have meetings, you have interviews. It's a place where people socialize, it's a place where people talk, it's a place where people have conversations. But millennials don't like in-your-face kind of advertising where it's like, oh, we just want your money, you know, you can buy this for 50 cents or whatever. So we want to keep it super subtle. We want to embed the tables at the cafes with facts, information, you know, conversation starters, icebreakers about coffee. So if you're having an awkward date, you can just look and be like, yeah, this coffee came from there. Let's talk about that. It's gonna be super cheap, but super impactful and super subtle.
Alright, so the second part of our marketing strategy is Pete's online presence. And we realized that Pete's is primarily an e-commerce site, but we thought millennials would be more engaged by learning about Pete's verification story. So to do this, our vision for Pete's homepage is visually interactive and elegant in its simplicity with easy access to learning about Pete's new verification story program. So we decided that we wanted to tell the verification story with a visual because millennials like simple things where they can pick up stories easily. And the example on screen is kind of cyclical, and we wanted to show that the verification process would also be cyclical, and that the improvement of Pete's coffee beans would be parallel to the improvement of the lives of the farmers, the bushers.
The other two aspects of our online, or the other aspect of our online presence is social media, which includes Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram. And we think a big thing that millennials respond to on Instagram and Snapchat are celebrity endorsements. And I know we were talking about how Draymond Green has already done stuff with Pete's Coffee. We would be also looking to expand to maybe some San Francisco Giants like Madison Bumgarner or Buster Posey, who are homegrown players who have a real connection to the Bay Area. And we believe that there's a connection there because the AT&T Park, the San Francisco Giants stadium, was the first LEED Gold certified stadium, which we could connect with the verification, the coffee roasting plant as well. And then that would get people to traffic to Pete's.com, which we've set up, or to the stores, as well as